ride the line too far because
we have so much exciting stuff that we are just bursting at the seams to tell you guys about.
Yeah.
And you're going to want to stay tuned because there's
a lot of moving pieces.
There's lots of good stuff coming. Lots of good stuff coming, that's for sure. And one of those things is glorious Minnesota sunshine coming out of my window. It's going to be above freezing today, and I am beside myself. It's my wife's birthday. We get to go out for a nice dinner.
Today is?
Yeah.
Oh, tell her happy birthday.
I will. So it will be a lovely.
Where are you guys going to go?
Company. Oh, this place you haven't heard of because it's in downtown Fargo.
But like what type of food? Okay.
We've never been.
Okay.
I went with Brian Lewandowski probably 8 years ago.
Dang.
It's some upscale fancy
Schmancy
thing. Yeah.
I love those kind of food places. I really love, like, one big thing I loved about Europe whenever I travel there is the 5-course meal standard. Like, and they're not big. Yeah, but like not big portions, right? You're getting a salad to start, something around that type of realm. We'll actually get like bread, salad, then you have like an appetizer. You know, I'm more on the French side, so I can go for some escargots. And then moving more into like your meal, and then dessert is a thing. So yeah, that's my style.
Yeah, that's quite the commitment. Could be fun.
That's one thing that we like about going to Vegas now. In Paris, they have this French restaurant that serves really good escargots. They're not as good as like Europe in France, because I remember going to France and like having a bucket. Here they just give it into you in the typical like 6-quadrant ceramic pot.
Never. I don't even know if I've had like real French food, or I know I've never had escargot. My wife has.
Next time you come down, there's a great French restaurant here in Fashion Square. Let's take you.
Interesting. Yeah. I want to go back to that place we had that octopus. That was so good.
Yeah, the French restaurant has the octopus, but it's actually the tail. It's actually the tentacle, not like the other one.
Oh.
Because you weren't there when it was cut up already, right?
Yeah, it was cut up already when we had it. Yeah.
I think it scared people away by having like the full tentacle just laid out on the plate. The charred octopus, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I'm hopefully going to get down there real soon again. We shall see what.
Seriously, Doug, I was trying to look up the photo the other night because we took the in-laws there and we're trying to show them like what it used to look like. I just couldn't find it.
West Coast seafood. Yeah. I mean, Arizona doesn't really have a coast yet, but if you follow Bill Hicks or the band Tool or George Strait, there you
go. We'll probably kick it off a little bit late today just because we have some folks in traffic. DJ, CJ.
In traffic mode.
Let me look.
She moved to a new place, which is a little farther away. So she's got to readjust to her new lifestyle.
That's true.
And we want her to be safe.
Yes, no rushing. I wish you could search for, like, maybe I should title this photo
just food or weird octopus or
yeah. Trying to
Did you ever see that My Octopus Teacher show on Netflix?
Mm-mm.
It was fantastic, and it really.
Is that the one where he watches the octopus for like a year, like it through its whole life cycle?
Yeah, it was really cool.
That one made me cry.
Yeah, and then we ate his leg.
Yeah, that's different. It's always different when you've built a bond, right?
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
I'm trying to think of how long ago it was.
Oh, too long. Time to make new memories. Let's go.
It's probably after Vegas. I mean, Hawaii. So let me go here.
Bruce, you got 6 inches of fresh snow on the ground. Oh, tempting.
Flagstaff got 3 inches.
All our snow here is starting to melt today, and we don't have anything fresh even on the forecast. So kind of got torn feelings about that. But good morning, everybody. I see a lot of new names on the chat list. Welcome. Welcome to MCR Morning Coffee Review. We'll tell you what this whole thing is all about here when we get started. But if you're joining us early, we're just blabbing. Michael's looking up food pictures on his phone. I'm daydreaming about, snow and rain and good weather and stuff. And make sure you have the chat window open so you can participate.
All right, I give up. So Doug, I'll look for it after this, and I'll put it in the MCR LinkedIn when I find it.
We should have we did pictures of animals, and
I didn't post any. I feel bad.
Did you watch the Who's On First skit that Liz posted?
Mm-mm.
Oh, that's mandatory viewing. Mandatory viewing. I'm
trying not to give up right now.
That's hard when it's in your head and you're like, I know it exists somewhere.
I know it's in. Just wish you can search.
Yeah, I don't even. You can search by place. I learned that trick not too long ago.
Really? So how do you do that?
Like there's a map view. So like if you know it's in a certain area of town or whatever, it will show you everything that you've taken in that area.
How do you go to that map view?
I don't know.
Oh, great.
Somebody showed me once and I was impressed.
Is it an albums site scan? No.
Places. So when you scroll down, go to places. When you're in the album view.
Oh, Dunzo. Is it gonna? Oh, it is. This is awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty fun. Look at the places I've been. So yeah, iPhone.
Did I delete it?
Yeah.
That's
this is a long search for a charred octopus leg.
Yeah, I must have deleted it because all I have is the one of us.
Hey, look at that. Eating octopus there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Photos or it didn't happen. Yeah, we'll bomb the links. We will utilize the LinkedIn chat here in a bit for random stuff. I know LinkedIn's not Facebook, but this is our group. We can do what we want. Right? If you want to post pictures of your cats or geotagging off, I mean, everything else is tracking you anyway. So might as well just give into it and take what little advantage there is.
Embrace it.
Embrace.
Not really. You don't have to.
Export to PowerPoint. Exporting Revu to PowerPoint. I tried it once, and I'm not a PowerPoint fan, so I didn't end up where I wanted to be. But
exporting to PowerPoint. I've done it the adverse with dashboards, creating a dashboard in PowerPoint because there's more graphic-y, and then into a PDF to put into a dashboard. That's what I've done.
Next week, we're going to talk about exporting the data from Revu into other formats. So ask me again next Tuesday and we'll get into that. You're new to iPhone, Bruce? Oh man, it's a slippery slope. Because you know what makes an iPhone work better? An Apple Watch. And you know what makes a MacBook work better? An iPhone. It's bad. It's bad.
Let me bring this up here for deployments.
Oh, wait. View range image. Whoa, that's cool. Anne's got tricks with.
Oh, you know what? Is there a new deployment package for 21? Deploy. Okay.
If you take the old link and just change the number to 21, you can do that.
I'm looking for the MSI package. Here we go.
Yeah. Well, should we get started? And since it's recorded and just won't live stream till later, or what are you thinking?
I'm thinking we give it a little bit longer,
Okay.
and then we'll get started. But anyone can ask questions right now. Let's just open this up for Q&A, and we'll before we get started.
We'll get to our actual topic here in a little bit. But if there's any questions about other stuff, we're here for you.
We can talk about my new role.
Let's talk about your new role.
Okay.
Michael, what's your new role?
So I am now manager of structural services, basically moving into a full transition of primarily focusing on our structural services here at ATG and increasing our numbers in that department. So I have been elevated to there, less focus on both architecture and structure and more focus just primarily on structure. Doesn't mean Bluebeam's going away. It's part of all of our departments. So I am not being pivoted out of MCR. I'll still be here, just like Mr. Artley, who transitioned out from a technical role into a pre-sales role. He is still here as well. So I am still going to be focusing on Bluebeam items, but more geared towards also structural related.
And we both, have that stipulation that, even if Michael said he didn't want to be on MCR, he doesn't have that choice because it has to come down to a committee of me and Matt. And we said no. No. I'm excited for you, Michael. I think this will be a perfect fit for your skill set, and I'm excited to see what you're going to do in that role. So yeah, what are our structural services?
Great. That's always a great question. We are actually the only reseller that has a dedicated structural department. So tick number one, what do we provide? We can do all things related Revit. So if you need any template creation, any design work, any production work, all structural related, we have folks from industry on our team ready to assist you in any facet. Any BIM management related to structural items, we can facilitate any of those needs. Talking about analytics, we will be adding team members on to help with analytic portions in terms of folks that are understanding of RISA, RAM, Tekla. We're going to be building out that as well for more of the analytical side. We will not run calculations and we will not stamp and seal here at ATG. Same thing with architectural, right? We're not going to go through and do full set designs. Same thing with civil. We're not going to go through and do any design work, stamp and seal. We're not here to replace any of those kind of job roles. We are here to facilitate the needs of assistants and consulting. So if you have any of those items, we are more than happy to assist you with that. Hopefully that answers your question, Alex.
But yeah, just like everywhere, it seems like in America, everybody's hiring. We're hiring too, but a lot of our clients are a little understaffed. So like, hey, we need help. We don't want to turn away work. That's where we come in and we just sort of help out. So Mike will be doing more of the structural stuff, and I'll continue to sell civil services, and we'll keep doing our MCR with our incomparable.
Is that the new shirt?
Amazing. Oh, this new shirt? Oh, this one? This one right
here? Did you
here?
accidentally show it?
Oh, that's not
accident.
Is
that what everyone's getting?
What I got. Whoa. It's extremely comfortable, and I was very excited to bust it out today.
Yes, my plants will soon consume me, Doug. As you can see, I got more. It is heading towards spring, so it is now time to refuel my office, I guess.
Your one LED strip is starting to lose its stickiness, and it's going to be a problem.
You. I can go first.
All right.
Oh, well, she's here. Now, so never mind. Too late.
Our team is here. We've got the trifecta. We are ready to kick this off. A little late, but no big deal because we're excited. We got a lot to cover. We're getting technical today. So, TJ, CJ, whenever you are ready, I see that little light come on. We'll do our thing. But no rush. No rush. It's just another MCR on a Tuesday. There will be more next Tuesday. So whatever we don't cover today, we'll cover it next week. No big deal.
We're here to say hi to everyone, ask how their day's doing,
answer some questions, and just have a good old community chat, because that's what we're all about. And hey, look at that. We're live. We are live on YouTube, and it is February 7th. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, universe. Good morning, Morning Coffee Review community. I hope you're all doing well. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Jason Artley, joined here with my friend Michael Achave to talk about all things Bluebeam. How you doing today this morning?
Doing great in the good old Grand Canyon State. We're starting to heat up. Here we're going to get a little bit colder, but nothing compared to where everyone else is at. So hopefully you are all staying warm. Highly recommend coffee warmers. Just talking to Jason about that a little bit earlier. They are a game changer. Today we're going to be talking about deployments and going through how you can customize your deployment packages and what Bluebeam offers. When Jason and myself went through the BCSR, it was more of a coding end, and it was definitely a little bit more painful since that's not our native language, I guess you could say. Pun intended there. But we'll go through and talk about the new deployment package and the optimizer they have for rollouts and how you can go through and create your own package with your own custom settings for deployment. We will not, however, cover your more ITN, and I'll probably lean on David for this since I know he's on the ITN too. Your MS, whatever type of deployments you are using to whatever type of
deployer.
Deployer. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for saving me there. To launch things out, right? Like an MSI deployment. What are some other ones, David, if you want to list them, or anyone else that uses deployments?
I had a couple written down, but they come up so infrequently. We'll get you to the MSI. How you distribute that is sort of on your own. But today is a continuation of last week, where we went through customization for an organization. So if you missed last week, go check it out on YouTube. We're going to take some of those files and profiles and things that we created last week and then roll them into this package that we're going to be able to distribute. So if you're moving from 19 to 20 or from 20 to 21, how can we get things set up and consistent for everybody so you're not going machine to machine and clicking on this path and that path, and nobody wants to do that. And if you do, that's on you.
Yep. So as always, we'll go through and share my screen here. So as I go through and look at my deployment package, so basically I will put this in the chat. I went to Bluebeam's website for their deployment. I always highly recommend looking at this. They have everything very well written out for how you can go through and deploy Revu. But let me go through, and I forget we're not.
Let me stop you right there, though. If you're in Revu 20, so if you're rolling out 20, getting away from that end of life dying product of 19 and below, if you're in Revu 20, the only difference in this process, one of them is that there's no serial number, right? So with Revu 21 being subscription based, it's gonna there's gonna be an admin side where you're gonna have to set up people's logins. It's different from serial numbers, so that will be the big difference between what we're gonna show today.
Yeah, so typically the old deployment package, that's why I was asking Jason, is there a different deployment package for 21? Of course there is, because before you would have to enter in your serial key and product key when you're creating your deployment package. For this time, you don't have to. Well, we're all going to go through this venture together because I haven't used 21 yet, so I don't want to speak too soon. But you can go through here and download the deployment package and grab it. It's an MSI package, zip file. So I did that. I just went and unzipped it. It was right here. So you can go through and download this. You can then unzip it. And I just created a Revu 21 folder for it, because what I'm going to go through and do is use my configurator to configure this MSI deployment package, which is the MSI package here that actually installs Revu. There's actually two separate MSI packages, just so everyone knows. There is the optical character recognition. It is a separate MSI package. And then there is also Revu 21. So there are two different MSI packages. You can go through and read the TIFF file that they have here if you want to understand all of this. And there is also a text file to uninstall previous versions when you're using your deployment if you wanted to uninstall Revu 20, because you do not have to. Let me reiterate this because folks always ask. uninstall Revu 20. It is a perpetual license. You own it. You can keep both side by side. I have both side by side. They are a little bit confusing because they don't change the icon. I just know my right one's 21 and my left one's 20. But just being aware of those two different ones. On your desktop, there is two different namings under them, so you do know. Okay. Have no real knowledge of it. Yeah. So whatever sorry,
PTQ is one of the deployment platforms.
Yeah, Revit finally came around with the concept of the icons. Yeah, they did.
Same with Sybil, and I love it.
Yeah. So going through, well, you could always get an add-in, for different Revit icons, but either way. So talking about deployments here. So you can go through and look up on the website here. I'm looking for, I think they have their deployment guide here, but then they also have, where's their deployer?
Deployment tools.
So this is the old way you had to go through and code your MSI package for deployment. I'll find it here so then you can all download the same configurator.
Yeah, they made things a little tricky. There it is, System Center Configuration Manager.
Where?
Above, right there.
I think that's just learning about it.
Oh.
Click this. I'll find it and then I'll post it. I just don't want to detour too much, but basically what you're going to want to go through and download is this configurator, which is right here. It's an executable file that will allow you to go through and create a brand new MSI package. That is not the typical MSI package that you're receiving from Revu. You're going to use this as your basis and you're going to modify this existing MSI package for your deployment. And I'm going to assume you're watching chat as I go through this as well. Mm-hmm. So as I go through for my deployment, you're going to open up the configurator. This is so you don't have to go through and use any of these special icons here from the old way. This is what we had to do to become BCSRs, Bluebeam Certified Support Representatives, and learn the different configurations on how and what you want to have already embedded in your deployment. Like auto update. Do you want folks to be able to do auto update? Yes or no? Enabled 0 or 1. This was good old days, and we don't have to do that anymore because we have this lovely configurator right here that allows us to go through and create a new deployment. This also allows us to create any patches to any existing deployments and deploy your extensions. So even if you deployed Revu and you wanted to redeploy later on through any typical deployment that you use from more of an IT standard, you can deploy extensions later on versus emailing them out. So just being aware of that, you can run this at a later point with your extensions. But for this one, I'm going to go through and run a new deployment. So when I click new deployment, it's going to say, hey, well, where is this MSI package that I'm going to create my new deployment from? So we are going to go and grab that new deployment package that I just downloaded, which is the new MSI package. So I'm going to go to my deployments folder here. Then I'm going to go to Revu 21, and I want to grab this MSI package because this is the one that I wanted to configure for my newest deployment. And then where's your deployment folder going to go? So I'm going to go back to my documents. I am going to go to my deployment folder here. I'm probably going to create a new folder in here and then name this.
Please don't call it deployment. Okay.
Saved you and hit OK. So now I have this new one, and then use configuration from a previous deployment. Nope, I'm going to start brand new because I want to see what it's going to change for this configurator for this new MSI package. And it still does serial number. So I'm wondering if there's a new deployment. What do we call this configurator?
Yeah, for 21, because that shouldn't, if you don't have that serial number, it's not going to do much for you for 21.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't update that link. Anybody who's Oh, so Michael saying in the chat on the website, they said the configuration editor has been eliminated. So now they have it again. Oh, okay. So maybe they changed things. Interesting. Well, I mean, we'll just have to fake it a little bit, I suppose.
They said they eliminated it.
Yeah. Interesting. So have to do some digging there. But you just downloaded the configurator, didn't you?
Just the MSI package.
Oh, you already had the configurator loaded from a previous thing. Okay. It was a really handy tool. It is a very handy tool. I don't know why they would remove it, but you know, it's not surprising that Bluebeam would keep us on our toes.
I mean, I guess we can go the old way. And then we'll go back to the new way, which is the old way of coding. So we can go into the MSI package and code it. So we'll do that for review 21, but first right now we'll do the review 20 for those folks that do still have review 20 in just this great way. And maybe we can look at the new config, like what it's grabbing. I don't think this stops you from creating a deployment file to add to it as well later on. So you could still do this for your deployment of your additional items, because just a text file that goes along with your MSI package, it just points to it. So I don't think you can mess that up either from using it this way. But let me go through and just create a new deployment to show you the old way. And then you can get some, you know, you could probably use the same text. You can just change it to review 21 for your config for the newest MSI package. So you don't have to learn, like, am I doing this correctly for the settings that I want? Just use the same settings from review 20 to review 21. So let me go and grab our old license structure gateway.
They really did get rid of that configurator.
Are you looking too?
Yeah. Well, but I can't find the thing, like a blog or anything saying that they did it.
Well, this is what.
Oh, due to the simplicity associated with subscription and deployment, we have eliminated the need for the configuration editor.
Simplicity. So what is that? Because your profiles and tool sets come along with review 20, but what about the new folks that are starting brand new in review 21?
All right.
We should get Peter on, have a conversation. But anyways, I'm going to go back into here, manage my
to the
licenses.
Bat phone.
To the Bat phone. I'm not going to show you so I'll grab the old package here. License. So I'll just bring this over here after I bring in my old deployment here. So review 20. Here's my old package here. And then I'll just do MCR in here as well so that I can point to this folder for review 20. So I'm going to open that. I wanted this one. And then I'm going to point to that folder. So I'm going to go back into here. Deployments, review 20, and then MCR. Great. This is where it's going to go through. I'm going to bring this over here because I don't want to show our licenses and have everyone go through and use them.
We would know who it was. That seems silly that they would remove the configurator, because you still want to deploy company profiles and you still want to do all those things. So I don't know why. Okay.
It's not like they would display it on the internet forever, Michael. That's true. So as we go through here and look at our deployment configurator, this is the more informed way. Instead of going through and using I'm going to exit out this one and go back into here. So basically what it's doing is, if I go back up to my list, so those folks that are trying to modify, that are tech savvy in terms of IT deployment, more so than Jason myself, As you're looking at these, it's the same thing here, right? So are we going to go through and look at our different configurations that we have for, default viewer? Is it going to go through an auto update? Is it going to display analytics? Is it going to include the desktop stapler? So for those folks that didn't know, because this is always a question when I do demos, if I go to my documents here, can I quickly go through and not have to open up Revu to combine PDFs? Yes, you get the stapler with every download unless you don't include it. So if I go through and select this and go to show more options, you get these staplers, right? So do I want the stapler to be downloaded with it or not? That's kind of one of those options here that you have. Allow plugins, job options. There should be some more going down and looking at these different ones here.
Are you guys using the stapler? I'm curious to know how many people use stapler outside of Revu. It's probably been a good 6 months since I've used it. Wow, look at this. Yep. Okay.
So they simplified this. That's why I'm assuming it's because profiles and everything's tied to the user now. So if I go back to Revu 20 deployment, it'll have more options of configuration. Yep. See, like preferences. So as you're going through and looking at these, there's more to these files. But anyways, going back into my deployment package here, configurator, do I want delayed authentication? So this is more from that older standard, right? So if I go through and want to automatically update with a serial key and product key and pull from my license pool or not, you decide yes or no. Are we going to set this up as our default viewer, please?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you saw yesterday, Jason and I received the demo yesterday, and their default viewer was not Bluebeam, but they were using Revu. So just being aware that, I know I shook my head too, going through and just, hey, it should probably be your default app, especially with Revu 21, right? No one should be using any Acrobat features. They should be using Revu 21 as their default viewer, especially even if it's not a paid for application, you're not signed in. Just because it should be your default viewer, it does everything and more than the other viewer from other options.
Mm-hmm.
In-app updates. So do I want the ability to have my end users update from here, or am I going to push a package deployment for updates, right? So, most folks wait from an IT standard, let the bugs get fixed, and then they run the update, right? They just want to make sure everything's good. Just like Revu 21. I know Vince, if you're on, you have a layers issue with Revu 21. Did we want to go into Revu 21? So just thinking about updates. And I foresee Revu 21 being their version for a long time. I don't see them releasing another edition. Remember, they changed from annual year locks of Revu 20 to Revu 21, right? It's 2023 and they released 21. It's not 2021. So just being aware of that. Enable welcome page. Do you want people to see the welcome page? Do you want a desktop shortcut? Stapler desktop shortcut. I should probably actually enable this. I would have loved to just click my desktop and then grab some files versus the new Windows. This is very annoying, by the way, right clicking and then having to say show more.
Oh, that's a Windows 11 thing. There's some sort of registry hack you can get to make it look like Windows 10 again.
Well, I don't want to go all the way back because I like embracing new things, but
yeah, it's
why
tough.
not give me more things I can add here? Like, can I pin it? Nope. Great.
The copy paste stuff still gets to me.
Okay. So going back into here, language of your operating system, Revu preferences path. So if we remember, last time we went through and we were in Revu and we were creating custom preferences for our deployment. And I believe, if I remember where I saved them, because it's been a whole week, it's been a long while. So let me go into demo docs, Revu. I think I did. Yep, deployment MCR. Look at that. So
wow.
Here's my profile, but I didn't save out any preferences. So let's go through and run how you can save out preferences. So if you have any customized preferences, which I do, I can go to preferences here and I can export this. This will be saved out as an XML file. So I can go through, and maybe it was just not, no, because I opened in File Explorer. So I will go through my demo docs here, remembered where I saved that, and I'll save my preferences. Boom. And then I go back into my deployment package here, and any preferences you change in there, the config, all that good stuff will be able to be pathed to that location. So I'm going to go into my docs, go to Bluebeam, review, and go to deployment MCR, and there's my XML, hit open, and that's my preference path of how it's going to run that file. Job options path and net config. So if I go back into here, you have admin, you have options here, and then you have your net config. So if you wanted to create a custom net config in terms of going to your stamps or emails, where are those going to be pointing to? So people have these defaulted locations. It's completely up to you of where you're doing that. If it's going to be a shared pool of stamps and all that good stuff. If it's just a single one-off stamp, I would just recommend sending it and they can import it. Then I'm going to hit next. Next one, can people go to the admin? So it's not this admin portion, it's the administrator. So if I go into here and type in admin, there is the Bluebeam administrator and Bluebeam administrator for Review 21 because I have both. So if I click this, yes, enable, it's going to bring up this and it allows you to manage your plugins. By the way, if you do have side-by-side, it will default it to Review 21. Just so we're all aware, it'll ping it to open the plugin for Review 21, but they don't have a plugin for 2018 for Review 21, so we're all aware of that as well. Then your net config areas, you have your printer settings, if you wanted to go through and modify your printer settings, and then your standard, these are your templates for your sizes of pages. So as you're going through and looking and creating a new page, it's going to pull these page sizes out. So again, in Review, if I go in here and do file, new PDF, that's these page sizes. Okay.
So you could clean all that up. There's so many of those that you'll never, ever use. See?
I like to show my long list.
No.
When
was the last time you used millimeters?
Never.
See?
Well, when I was doing custom windows and doors, we did metrics. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Get out of here.
Okay.
Mr. Canada. And I bet Vince too, right?
Yep. There we go.
Okay. Knew it was coming. All right. And I would assume, Doug, you probably use both. I would assume probably Vince, it's just metric. Okay. So going back into here, admin, digital signatures. Do you want people to be able to go through and add signatures or not? Can they edit text? Can they export to Office? So this is regardless of edition. You always have had the ability to Microsoft Office plugins. So just being aware of that. Every single edition, Basic Core Complete or Standard CAD or Extreme, always plugs into Office. Do you want them to be able to or not? Product updates, mark redactions, register license, self-signed certificates, and translate markups. So I'm gonna hit next. Again, do we want any of these plugins? I don't have any of these. Boom, 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 boom. Project-wise, okay, hit next. I guess I went fast. These are just your plugins. If you want them to be able to go through and do that or not. Next is create
CAD or Extreme.
Yep. This is the ability to go through and create your deployment for the package. Is it going to skip pending reboot? This is great because if you do a silent deployment, silent install, is it going to make them restart the computer? Probably not. Probably wouldn't want to do that, right? So you'd probably want it to silent install in the background if you're doing a deployment in the middle of the day. And then when they restart their computer next day, hopefully they're not one of those folks that keeps their computer on all day. And if you are, highly recommend turning off your computer so it can cool down. Otherwise, it's going to be always slow unless you're using a bin box.
Even then,
you should still shut it down.
Yeah. You go to sleep, your computer deserves the same. Think about the trees and the environment. Anyway.
Okay.
Okay. Quick sidebar. since we were talking about YouTube videos. A couple weeks ago, we were talking about offsetting and we were struggling a little bit, but Vince made some videos about it. So check out Vince's YouTube content because he figured out some tricks with that. Vince, if you want to put your link in the chat, please do. Anyway, keep going.
And this is the new deployment script here. So this is something you could use, I'm thinking, and, you know, change some stuff like 21. Review. This is the folder it's coming from. So I wouldn't want to change that folder. Transform to review. Nope, that's the folder. 21. So being aware, I would probably want it to be the review 21 folder, actually.
Yeah, because that's got all your goodies in it.
Yeah. So
and there's no compatibility issues with this stuff. You know, the files that are being created in 19 or 20 or 21, they all work with each other. So you're not going to get a warning saying, oh, hey, you're using a profile from review 20.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be surprised how often that question comes up.
So I'd probably come into here and create a new text file.
I saw Matt on your thing.
Did you?
Can you deploy review 20 without license info?
No, you need it. I think you still need it if you're going to go through and, because it does ask you for trial or not trial in your deployment.
Right. You could just, if you didn't have the license info, just install the trial.
Yep. So that's this new configurator script that you would run with your deployment. So it is a Word file. So you could hypothetically run this with duplication, which I just did. I saved it in my deployment for review 21 as a text file. Well, I haven't saved the text file yet. So into the review 21 deployment and save this. And there's my new config for this MSI package. Is it going to auto populate this? I should probably read it.
And you just
froze.
No, you just straight double click that MSI, huh?
I know, I shouldn't have. Okay. But going through, we can read some more basics in here. I'm assuming they probably listed this all out. Bluebeam does a really good job on having correct literature for all of this. Just bring this over here. So you can go through and look at all of this information as well. They have a deployment guide here, so you can go through and understand a little bit more. And then we can go through and run the executable for it. So that would be the deployment for, I guess you could use this for review 20 and review 21. But let's go and see if I go to new deployment, grab this MSI package. Do I need a license key or not to create that package? Let's see. I think I get where you're going at. Maybe you don't have review 20 and you want to create a custom deployment package. That's probably what you're doing and wanted to know if you needed it or not. So let me go to review 20 and deployment folder. Go back to here, not desktop. Docs.
Oh, he's thinking if you can use the tool for review 21 still.
Yeah, that's.
I don't see why you couldn't.
Yeah,
honestly.
and I'm assuming that was why the question was, can you still use it without a license key? So we're going to try out here. Yep. I guess I could have just hit that.
Yeah. So that, I think that hack might just work. Take that, Bluebeam. So good question, Michael. Why would you use the configuration if Bluebeam eliminated it for Revu 21? Because it would appear that Bluebeam is getting rid of it. The reason that you would use this, and the main reason that you would use this configurator, is to roll in some of those company standards, some of those custom configs, to do some of those things to a lot of folks at once, instead of just giving them the default. I think what my conspiracy tinfoil hat theory is that when you launch Revu 21, it's going to ask you to port your tools over to the cloud, and it's assuming that remember, let's draw the picture, that everybody has all their stuff set up and ready to go to the cloud. It's really kind of ignoring the whole, hey, what about my company profiles and all that other stuff. So I don't know why they got rid of it. I will reach out today and figure out why. But
yeah, and to go back, you can create your deployment package, and just like Alex was saying, it's just giving you those identifiers for the settings, and versus you having to go through and create your own, right? Because this is what your Revu install MSI package is going to grab in the settings for those as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, does this work on a company that does not have a typical network? So what do you mean by typical network? Like, you'd still need to be connected in order to push these out through whatever deployer, whether that be that, what was it, zoom the chat, because I don't remember what we talked about 5 minutes ago. PDQ? Yeah, PDQ.
So basically, when you're going to go through and decide to deploy it now, you can go through and run your script deployer. The text file or the net config, when you're opening up the MSI, it'll allow you to point to the text file that you have. That's just going to run all these. So basically, as I'm scrolling through here, I'm just looking at all the different items that it has, because it's going to grab that file of what it is, and if there's any updates within that file for your deployment. So it goes through and points for it, and then asks, hey, is there a file for me to grab? If there isn't one, it's just going to go through your typical deployment. If it is, it'll go through and grab that one as well. Yeah, these are the old ones.
Right. So the question is, like, how do you actually deploy Revu 21, right? So this works you through, using that Revu 21 guide that Michael put in the chat, that uses the MSI framework and these packages, but it doesn't appear to let you customize it the same way.
Yeah, so for this one, it still does have like the custom README file and going through. But if you're going to go through and distribute it, you can still run a PostScript that runs for those settings when you're running the actual deployment itself.
So Bruce has a question. If they're not running a traditional server, right? They're using Dropbox. Well, that makes things a little tricky, right? Because you can't necessarily use that network to remote into machines and do everything like that. You'd have to, put that MSI on there and just tell everybody to double click on it.
Yeah, and here's one right here. So they just said the Microsoft SCCM software that they're using, I guess. You can go through as Revu 21 no longer just requires for deployment internet access. You can just run the installer for it here. And then it's just going to point to that file location right here, and it'll go through and run that. And you can install it. Someone else can double click the MSI package. If you just copy those files over, you can just, put it in a Dropbox folder and have people grab it to deploy it. Just make sure they download the entire folder local, right? So when you're using Dropbox, you can, download things local as well.
Mm-hmm. And Michael in the chat said, I successfully tested the old 20 config editor to deploy Revu 21, but it did not deploy it to staff that way, and BB stopped supporting it. So just wanted to test it. Thanks for checking. So our little thought that you could use the old stuff to deploy the new is, in fact, not possible. Wah, 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 wah. All right.
So you use, this is great. This is why I love MCR. So for review 21, it sounds like Michael's using a batch file to deploy profiles. So Michael, I guess, how would you run through a batch file deployment for that? Okay, you didn't use it to deploy. Okay. I would assume that you're talking about the old config, and you can use the batch file from this, right? So the deployment of extensions, right? This is creating an additional file. So let me go and grab those profiles and stuff that I had from existing.
Oh, he wrote his own batch file.
Oh, okay. I wonder if this batch file works too, though. Let's see. Next. Hey, hatch patterns, lines, and tools. Let's go and grab that. Open. Next.
The script can be run from a batch BAT file. So there's your little batch creator. If you don't know how to write one your own.
No, not new profile. Let's go to here.
3D printer. I saw a 3D printer folder. What are you doing with that?
Is when I was going to start doing 3D printing stuff. So these are all of the items. And if you want to create this file, you can copy this or just hit done. It's going to go into review 21 folder, and it's going to create that new package for me. So custom assisting right here. And this is pointing to these files for that as well.
Yep, that's pretty darn close to what Alex put in the chat there too.
Cool.
So some of that is self-explanatory.
Okay, so this did work. Great. Cool. Thanks, Michael. Michael.
See?
M and M.
There you go. Hey. Okay.
So we're all helping each other out with this. It's good. Glad everyone's testing it and verifying. That's unfortunate. So we'll reach out to some folks at Bluebeam and see what was the purpose. I'm not going to assume. I'd rather just get an answer from them as to why they decided to take it away. Maybe it's the profile. I mean, like, it still has all of these in here.
Yeah. So it's not even completely thinking about, it's just making it difficult.
Yeah, it literally says optional settings. So why not give us a config?
Yeah. Maybe it's coming. I don't know. Maybe it's going to be a new subscription service. Add $10 a month if you want. No. Please no. But you never know.
Well, so that's how you can go through. Here's post installation. Like, it even has post installation XML files. So why not? I'm in the review 21.
Why roll it? Why make it harder than it needs to be?
Like, these are the exact files that I had from my script deployment. So I don't know.
I'm a little irritated. I'm excited to write off an email to Bluebeam today. Because yeah, why would somebody upgrade software to have a harder process?
Oh, here's that add file.
Yeah.
So if you don't know how to create one, like Jason, myself, you can come in here and have it, which, now you can learn too. Well, what is that file and how is it written? Right. And then just change whatever the names are for these, wherever they're stored and saved. So.
I'm going to ask ChatGPT to write me a strongly worded email.
Yeah. Review executable file. Where was that at? It was up here. But yeah. I'll ask, Jason and I have been messing around with the Chat GPT for coding, and it's very helpful.
It could probably write this script for us, that batch file.
I don't want to bring it up, but
yeah,
I can. Should we?
Well, let's save that. Let's do a whole other episode about that.
Okay.
Not today. Because it's, yeah, especially when we start talking about JavaScript again. Let's see. Liz isn't here today. Oh boy.
This is it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, custom stamp for Revu in JavaScript. Yeah, no problem. If you haven't played with this, it's freaky. Yep. Goodbye, Google. I mean, actually, Google's launching their own version of this, but you know, to say Googling things, yeah, that won't be a thing in 10 years. So yeah, I've been using this to work with some Python scripts. I even got it to do some JavaScript for me. Yes, you still have to know how to code it, but if you don't know what it's talking about, it can explain it to you. So you're like, what does this code do? And you can paste that part in and it will explain it. So if you're looking to learn how to code, this is helpful. And there's a whole, I apologize, there's a whole YouTube rabbit hole that you can go down and waste your whole day, but it's pretty crazy. Yeah. Yeah, I need to I'm excited to revisit our stamp episode because I've got some questions that I would love to get community feedback on. I think we got that coming up. We've got a whole bunch of things coming up. If you joined us late, next week we're going to talk about you know, what can you do with the data from Revu outside of Revu. So we'll be going to Excel, we'll be going to PowerPoint, we'll be going to Word, we'll be playing with Chat GPT. We're going to take a bunch of different data and see how we can sort of supercharge that. Yeah,
and it's just the regular dynamic fields. But anyways, custom deployment.
Now it won't know, this thing doesn't know things that are older than like a year and a half. So since Revu 21 is newer, it might not know the same thing. Yeah.
Ooh.
I figured you'd be excited about next week, Doug. So if you got examples, queue them up and we'll put you on the spot.
Look at this.
Command lines. Oh, create a batch file. Okay.
There you go.
There's a Bluebeam script editor.
Didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting stuff.
Well, at least we know a couple of things do work. So if you wanted to go through and use the old config in the Revu 21 deployment, you can go through and use that to create a file to export out your custom tool sets, hatch patterns, still to deploy to everyone instead of sending it out. Because you can always send these out, right? You can email them out. People can then double click it, add it into their profiles, select their profiles from here. But here's another one. What is next week's topic, Mr. Artley?
Next week, I'm just going to put it in the chat. So keep going.
Great. So just being aware of our different options as we go through and customize our deployment. We will get some answers. I'm glad that we discovered this today for those folks trying to deploy Revu 21 and using the old deployment package. There are some things you can still use in it, and we'll get answers as to why it did not why they didn't use it or keep it maintained for the newest version, just because you still have, old files that you can go through and grab for the same type of hard coding for some of your options as you're going to go through and grab those. So like this profile selection of how can we go through and change our preferences to our XML file. These are all of your preference settings that you can go through and deploy after. Why not have it within, right? Because maybe it is supposed to be a post installation, and maybe that's why their thought process isn't supposed to be at the beginning of a download and installation, just because they're all supposed to work seamlessly and it's tied to the person's profile person's user ID versus the installation of itself of where it is and where it's living. Who knows? We'll get the answer.
Exactly.
What else?
So we had totally planned a seamless deployment today, as most people are trying to plan on a seamless deployment, and you can see things go off the rails sometimes. So we got a little blindsided by that whole lack of a configurator. So thanks for pointing that out, and we'll get to the bottom of that. But there's ways around it.
Even if not, community helped out as always. We appreciate you all for giving some 2 cents on what you all did and what you can do. Jason and I, by all means, don't have a very strong IT in terms of network configuration and deploying of these background. But we're always looking for the community. As always, you all come to the plate and help everyone else as well through these. So we appreciate you very much. Community, as always, wouldn't be here if it weren't for you all.
Absolutely. And some of you community folks are going to be lucky enough to receive one of these MCR t-shirts. Woo. So if you joined our 100th episode, we had an option for that. Thanks for joining. If you missed out, well, wait for episode 200 or 500. I don't know if we're going to do it again. We'll see. It'll be special.
See. Yeah.
Good things are coming. Good things are coming. Let me just put it that way.
Great things are coming. So Jason and I would love to tell you some more things. We just have to get some back end confirmation, and we will go through and divulge information to you all. As always, Jason and I love to ride the line with some of these things. We just have to be proactive on making sure, we don't bite the bullet on some of these and let you all know as soon as possible.
We haven't had our hand slapped in a while, so it's fine.
Yeah, maybe we're tuned to it. Yeah, we know some things about XCon. We just need to get some confirmation before we decide to blab it out.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, it really hurts. It really biting my tongue here to hold back from you guys, because we try to be as transparent as possible, but some of these things that we want to talk about are a little bigger than ourselves. So
unfortunately,
yeah. But what can we talk about? We can talk about joining again next Tuesday. We're going to talk about data outside of Revu. We're going to talk about all sorts of things. So
and hopefully have some more news.
Yeah.
Just need to know the when. We'll let you know. Spill the beans, easier to ask for forgiveness later. I agree. However, we are, bigger things than just Jason and myself, just because we are platinum partners and we have to abide by some type of rules. So
yeah. Unfortunately. Yeah, they've got bills to pay too. Yeah, I do. I would prefer not to, have have Bluebeam contact our people and say, hey, pull the plug on us.
Yeah. You don't want the plug pulled, right?
I'd find a dirt partner. Dirt partners aren't going to know what we know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They
confide in us, and we are trying to ride the line of when we can say things and when we can't. So,
but there's things we're excited about. There's things we're proud of, and there's some things that once we have the go ahead, we're coming to you guys first. So there you go. All right. Turn the recording. Yeah. On that note, Chet, ask Chet.
I mean, we can ask. Let's see.
What is Michael having for lunch today? Oh. Oh, you stumped it. This is the only question. Oh. Yeah, so there you go.
There you go. I would have been shocked if it said what we know, but
that was a tough, tricky one. Yeah, future politician.
Great.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great Tuesday. Thanks for joining us. Be safe out there. We will see you next week. As always, if you've got questions in the meantime, post them up on the LinkedIn group. So LinkedIn Morning Coffee Review, talk about everything. It's a community thing. If you're not a part of that, go ahead and request to join, and one of us will get you in there. But we'd love to have you engage with our community and the other community outside of MCR, outside of Tuesdays. So have a great week, be safe, and I look forward to seeing you all next week.
See you all next week.